Hey beta climbers, in this week's episode we're going to build a pegboard, another DIY project. So let's roll the intro and let's get started. Hey climbers, welcome to the yard. So for this project we're going to need two things. We're going to need a 10-inch high and 12-foot long piece of plank, and we're going to need 8 inches of hardwood. Forget it. This video is going to be ridiculous. It's going to be filled with sexual innuendos. The comment section is going to be a mess. I'll be in my trailer. Okay guys, let's give this another try, shall we? Welcome to Santa's workshop. Actually, it's just my ghetto garage. Don't send me your Christmas letters. I'll probably just burn them. So what are we gonna do? Well, first thing we're gonna need is a hardwood piece of dowel, not softwood. This is like oak, hardwood. You don't want to get softwood like pine because it's more liable to crack under your weight when you're, pegboarding. So you want a good hardwood piece of dowel. And for the pegboard, I'm using pine. You could probably get oak. Oak would be stronger. It'd be more expensive. I'm not gonna get into lacquering it or anything like that. I mean, you can get all fancy. I'm kind of just making something, I've used pine in the past, worked just fine for me. All you're gonna need for tools is a drill like this one. And for drill bits, you could either use a hole saw or a spade. Now, I would rather use a spade drill bit because this one, every time you drill a hole, you're gonna have to pop out the little piece of wood that gets stuck in there. I think this will work a lot faster for you. And let's get into the sizes we're working with here. This dowel is 1.25 inches in diameter. And I guess you don't need one really long. You're only gonna make it about, I don't know if you want a couple sets or not, but probably 8 inches, 12 inches. We'll get into that. I'll show you what I do. And for the board, it's gonna be 1.5 inches wide. And I'm using a 10-foot long piece. Of course, you could make it however long you want. And it's 9 inches high. So let's get into the hole making and let's get started. Okay, before we make the holes, we're going to have to mark the holes. And to make the holes, I'm going to be using an 1 3/8 spade drill bit. And I think that's just a little bit bigger than this one. You don't want it to be exact because it's going to be really difficult to get that right in there as you're climbing. You want a little bit of wiggle room and you don't want too much wiggle room. So I'm giving myself about, actually don't know how much more space it is, but we'll figure it out. And if it's a little bit too small, you can always widen it out a little bit, but you don't want to make it too wide. So this is 1 3/8 and this is 1 1/4 inches. I'll put up the math somewhere of what that exactly is, but I'm just eyeballing it. Now for the holes, you want to start down a little bit lower than the top because we're going to be putting 2 holes in here to put some rope in because I'm going to be hanging this from like a tree or something or a wall or whatever you're going to do. So we're going to start the holes down here, and then for the holes, you could either stagger them. So they'll go left, right, left, right. That'll make the board a little stronger, but I don't know, it'll get kind of boring. Maybe you could start on the other. No, so I'm not going to do that. Basically, I'm going to put a hole on this side and put a hole on this side. What I'm saying is you could put the holes right next to each other, or you could stagger them like that. All right, so I hope that makes sense. So what we're gonna do is for this 9-inch board, which is actually 9 1/4, I'm gonna come over 1.5 inches, and that's where the point of my drill bit's gonna come. And then over here, I'm also gonna go over 1.5 inches, and it's not gonna be exactly because there's this extra little 1/4 inch, but what the hell? I don't care, I'm doing this kind of quick and dirty. Why is the board on a piece of cinder block? Well, I want the holes not to be straight through. I don't want them to go in perfectly perpendicular. I want them to have a little bit of an angle. And putting the board on this cinder block helps me do that, because now if I come straight down with the drill bit, it's gonna go through the board at a slight angle. And that's gonna kind of help when you're sticking this thing in here like this, because it's gonna kind of bite a little bit and it's not gonna be so parallel. I like it like that. I mean, maybe you could just go straight through, but in my experience, I like it to have a little bit of an angle. I don't know, it feels better to me, coming a little bit. I don't know, it's almost like ice climbing or something. I don't know. I like it like that. If it doesn't matter, let me know in the comments. I don't know. So another thing you're probably gonna want is a straight edge, because this is gonna help a lot because you could just make the mark. You're gonna see when I'm marking the marks. If I use a straight edge over here, then I could just come over and bam, 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 all the way down. So let's do that. Okay, so now that our X's are marked every 1 foot, now we're gonna grab our straight edge, and I'm gonna make sure that this X is exactly 2 1/4 over and 2 1/4 over. So I go down here and I go, okay, this X goes here, go down the next, and make sure you make these marks bigger so you actually see them. Right here, and right here, and then so on and so forth until you get all these X's done. Okay, so we have all our marks marked on the piece of wood. It's time to start drill, baby, drill. Okay, so for the hole making part, you want to make sure your drill bit's nice and sharp. You could make this cleaner by not going all the way through the board in one shot, but getting it just to the bit is about to touch out and then going around the other side and drilling the other way. That'll prevent what's called blowback, where all the chips just blow right out the back. I don't give a crap. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go right through because I'm pressed for time. But we're just gonna do it like this. And you wanna make sure now that this is at an angle, all you have to worry about is getting your drill to go straight down and level. So just eyeball it, make sure it's going straight down, and it will make the hole at a little bit of an angle because it's on this piece of cinder block. Okay, so let's get going. Okay, so I got the holes drilled in here, and actually I changed my mind. I wanted to actually look a little better, so I didn't drill all the way through to prevent blowback. So let me show you what I'm talking about. And flip this over. You can see I just waited to the tip of the drill bit came through, and that came with, I think that comes with a little bit of experience. Let me show you what happens if you blow it right through. You get all these chips that blow out, and I guess I didn't blow it all the way through, or else a big chip might have came out. It just looks nasty. Now, if you're using a drill bit, you make sure it's sharp, and you want to make sure you have a drill bit that has like a clutch in it or something, because if you use a drill bit that doesn't have a clutch and it gets stuck, it's gonna want to turn the drill instead of the drill bit, and it's gonna want to break your wrist. So if you use a drill that has like a clutch in it so it like stops, then it doesn't spin, that'll probably save your wrist a little bit. This is what I mean by a drill with a clutch. You see it's spinning like this, but if it ever got stuck, it doesn't spin. Now if you turn this up a bit, turn it up a little bit more, I'm not gonna be able to hold it at some point, and it's gonna get stuck, and it's gonna wanna spin the drill like that. And if it gets stuck, it'll wanna break your wrist. Okay, so let me drill these holes now. Okay, so we're back in the yard, and now we're gonna drill some more holes for a rope to hang the board up in the tree. And this would be a good use for your retired climbing rope, where I made an episode over here. You can check that out, when to retire climbing rope. This would be a good use for it. So I'm gonna use a smaller drill bit. This one is, I don't know, 1 inch. So I'm gonna drill a hole here. I'm gonna drill it 3 inches down and 3 inches over because reasons. So 3 inches down, 3 inches over, 3 inches down, 3 inches over, and drill a hole here, drill a hole here. Cut some rope to length, long enough. You could also now, after you do that, you could take a file like this one, and it's got a rounded edge here. This is good for getting in around the all the holes, making them nice and clean. And then for these smaller holes, you could use another round file, and that's good for cleaning up the wood so there's no splinters or anything harsh like that, or burrs is what they would call it. So I'm gonna do that and get that done, and then I gotta cut my dowel, and I'll hang the board up. All right, now we just gotta get this board up in the tree. And I bet you guys thought there wasn't gonna be any climbing in this episode. Wrong. These beta climbers. I don't know what you guys expected. Okay, the pegboard is up in the tree in all its glory. And I got it up there with some pretty strong rope. I might change it to webbing because the webbing is a bit stronger and better for the tree limb. But it's hanging up here now, so let's climb it.
Sometimes I feel like I can make you whole. I just can't change my emotions. There isn't anything I wouldn't do to prove that everything I say is true. And if you let me, I'll keep loving you. I just can't change my emotions. Come on, love me again. You're all I need. Can you love me again? Come on, love me the way you did. I just can't change my emotions.
So I hope you enjoyed that project. It's a great way to train one-arm pull-ups. I'll be making a video on how to actually train yourself to do one-arm pull-ups, and that's one of the key factors in it, is making one of those. So if you enjoyed that, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Here's my Instagram. If you like that, leave a like, subscribe for more, and Josh Perry climbing out of here.